Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. We're recapping the Ravens win over the Eagles. The preseason streak is still alive. Shout out to Charles Ray 5554. He won the first giveaway. We'll be doing this every week throughout the preseason and the regular season, so there'll be a bunch of more opportunities, but he got the Keaton Mitchell total yards right. He guessed 30, which just happened to be the lowest number. Keaton Mitchell ended up with 20, but as you know, there was a 35-yard touchdown that was called back, so he almost had a bunch more, and Keaton Mitchell looked absolutely fantastic. We'll get into that a little bit later. So let's get into the game. Ravens win. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't terrible. There's a bunch of highs and lows. I have a lot of players that I'm higher on than I was, and then there's some players that I'm lower on than I was, and then some players met expectations. So we'll go through each position group that stood out and just some players that really had a good game or didn't have a great game. So we'll start with the backup quarterback position. They had a lot of control over the game, and John Harbaugh went with Josh Johnson to start the game, which I did think was interesting. I thought his lineup changes were interesting in general. Gus Edwards coming in like mid-second quarter and playing the rest of that was a little interesting. We started Justice Hill. Tyler Huntley starts the second half. I'm not reading into that depth chart-wise. I still think Gus would be our second back or our current lead back, but second back when J.K. Dobbins is here. And then I think Tyler Huntley, especially after this game, has a stranglehold on the backup quarterback position as long as he can stay healthy. He did seem like he pulled a little hamstring or something. He definitely tweaked a little something, but Harbaugh said there was no major injuries after the game, so I'm not super worried about it. But he looks like easily the best backup quarterback. Josh Johnson was not commanding the offense, in my opinion. He had a couple really bad throws. He did throw a touchdown to Devin Duvernay, but I didn't love Josh Johnson or Anthony Brown, to be honest. Anthony Brown came in the fourth quarter, threw a pick six, just looked out of place, honestly. I couldn't even judge the offense fairly, and I know we're not opening the playbook. It's the preseason. But I couldn't get a good feel of the offense because it was a lot of 3-and-outs and just bad decisions being made, honestly. And then Tyler Huntley comes in, and it looks completely different. First drive, boom, touchdown, Tylan Wallace. And I know he got a little hurt, and he didn't play as much as Josh Johnson played, but I would imagine this is going to be a quarterback rotation. So next game, maybe Tyler Huntley starts. I'm not sure exactly what the strategy is on Harbaugh's end. I'm going to guess that it's to get guys playing with the starters at various points. You're playing with different skill set groups, so maybe Tyler Huntley starts the next game or the third game, and he gets a whole half like Josh Johnson did, and just to see, because I know it is a true backup quarterback competition, but to me, if you watch the game, Tyler Huntley was clear-cut the best quarterback out there. So I think he's going to be the backup again, which also makes sense. He does have the most NFL game experience. Lamar's been banged up these last 2 years, and Tyler Huntley's played a lot of ball for us. Now, I don't trust that he can do what Lamar does. He can't operate the offense at Lamar's level or make the plays he does, but I do trust Tyler Huntley out of these backup quarterbacks. He just stood out and looked like he had the most experience. Receivers looked good. Zay Flowers looked as advertised. His stat line wouldn't show that. His first play was like a false start, but not really. He was still getting to the line and getting set, and then Josh Johnson snapped the ball. But then he shows his cutting ability and quickness the very next play. And then the defensive back covering him on the next two targets got a penalty because they were holding. We heard that from Peter King earlier in the offseason too, saying that nobody can cover Zay unless you're interfering with his route, and that kind of proved to be true with the Eagles last night. So Zay is looking as advertised. I even like that he got physical and went in there and got a block. That's definitely something that we haven't seen from smaller guys in the past. I selfishly wish I would have saw more of him play, but we'll wait for the regular season. I definitely don't want him risking injury. I'm cool with him only playing like 2 drives. I think that's a perfect amount just to get him familiar with some NFL speed and build some confidence that he can make plays at this level. Devin Duvernay scored a touchdown. It was great to see him make a play. We haven't heard as much from him as we had in previous camps. I know he's kind of pushed down on the depth chart a little bit, and Nelson Aguilar has been kind of stealing the show when it comes to like the OBJ, Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman receivers. It was nice to see Devin Duvernay make a play. He's definitely going to be on the roster this year, so I'm not really worried about that. Tylan Wallace also looked great, made another play. Harbaugh says he's been having a great camp. I would say he's probably at this point the leader if we carry a 6th guy. So we got Odell, Zay, Rashad Bateman, Nelson Aguilar, Devin Duvernay. If we're carrying a 6th receiver, Tylan Wallace could be leading that pack right now. Good for him. You know, he's been on this team for years and kind of been battling injuries himself and not getting a ton of opportunity. It seems like every time he does get an opportunity, he looks solid. I would say he's definitely leaps and bounds above the next guy I'm about to talk about, which is James Prochet, who in my opinion, just has no room on this roster. I don't know how he makes the roster. You know he's not going to make it as a receiver. So then you go, oh, well, he can make it as special teams. Well, he fumbled the punt return in the red zone, in the Eagles' red zone. He gave them the ball in the red zone. So, I mean, that just can't happen. So I don't think he has a spot on special teams or as a receiver. And I just don't think he's going to make this team this year. And we've been saying that for a few years now, but the depth chart at receiver is loaded, and it hasn't been in years past. And they've gave James Prochet ample amount of opportunity. We'll see, but I just can't see James Prochet making this roster. He did not impress last night. Sean Ryan is a receiver that I have not been talking about at all and haven't heard a ton about, but he flashed last night, made a couple plays, great catches. Once again, I don't think he has a spot on this roster, but he could make the practice squad. He could be a part of this team. But he definitely impressed last night, so good for him. Tight ends look solid. Isaiah Likely looked really good. He got banged up and left the field, but he did return to the sideline in street clothes, and Harbaugh said there's no major injuries, so I'm not stressing over it. He might have something small, but he did look good. He looked as advertised. Charlie Kolar looked all right. He fumbled that one ball, and then he made a catch right after that. I definitely think Isaiah Likely is leaps and bounds ahead of him, and Mark Andrews is leaps and bounds ahead of him, so I was wondering earlier, like, what kind of role Charlie Kolar's going to have, and I think it's answered. I mean, he's definitely going to be 3rd, 4th tight end, and just kind of a backup. And unless there's an injury, I don't think he's going to get a ton of time. He has some talent. He has some size. I definitely like his game, but he's not flashing enough to get a ton of playing time, in my opinion, and Isaiah Likely is, and obviously Mark Andrews is going to be out there all the time, so I wasn't blown away with what I saw from Charlie Kolar. I did like what I saw from Travis Vokalek, who's probably like the 4th tight end right now. He's definitely on the bubble whether he's going to make the roster or not, but I think he had a great showing last night. He definitely can participate in special teams, and I think he's got a decent chance to make the team as well. Running back room, I was super impressed. Justice Hill started the game, had an explosive run that he went to the wrong hole and then cut back to the hole he probably originally should have went in and had a burst down the sideline for like a 30, 40-yard gain. So he was running hard. I like what I see from Justice Hill. He looks fast. He looks explosive. Gus Edwards came in, looked powerful. I liked what I saw from him. Melvin Gordon looks like he's got some juice in the tank as well. I was impressed with what he had. He was running hard. And then Keaton Mitchell was one of the stars of the game. And that was the contest guy that I picked. And I thought he'd have more yards than he did. He obviously only finished with 20. But he did have a 35-yard touchdown run that was called back due to a holding penalty. And that run was disgusting, man. Like, he broke a tackle, busted the outside. And Keaton Mitchell was doing returns pretty much the whole game and looked great at that as well. So, I mean, I don't see a way Keaton Mitchell doesn't make the roster. If he hits the practice squad, I guarantee another team comes and grabs him. So, if it comes down to Keaton Mitchell or Melvin Gordon, I'm going with Keaton Mitchell. He's a rookie. And neither guy is probably going to get an insane amount of playing time. We have J.K. Dobbins, we have Gus Edwards. I think Justice Hill's definitely going to make the team. So then there's probably one other spot. And Keaton Mitchell now can do returns and play special teams at a high level. I don't see how he doesn't make the roster. Left guard position still completely up for grabs. The entire shifting of the offensive line was super interesting. We saw a lot of guys at a lot of different positions. I know the game started with John Simpson at left guard, Ben Cleveland at right guard. Ben Cleveland did not look good at all. I was watching him on a couple plays, and he just got absolutely torched. I don't know what's going on. This guy's got every physical trait needed to be an absolutely dominant guard, and he just can't seem to put it together. And if you were to watch his college film, you would never think that his game wouldn't translate, in my opinion. I mean, I could be missing something, but he looked like he was going to be a surefire stud guard for us in the future, and now we're 3-4 years in, and he just can't show out. He's just still looking like a rookie almost. So I don't know if he's even going to make the team. I think he might, just because they need depth there, and he is a big body, and they used draft capital to get him. So maybe they feel like they should hold on to him throughout his rookie contract. I would understand that, but I don't see him starting for us. But John Simpson looked okay. Saleh looked all right. My biggest takeaway from the line that impressed me was Falele. He was switching between tackles. He's moving his feet quick, and for how big he is to move like that is extremely impressive. And he was just a rookie last year and doesn't have a ton of football experience. And to me, he seems, I can see the leaps already early on. So I don't think that Falele is going to start for us this year unless there's an injury. But I would imagine that he's our future right tackle whenever kind of Morgan Moses phases out, or he beats out Morgan Moses in a year or two. All right, let's head to the defense. Early in the game, I was really, really impressed with Travis Jones. He didn't play a ton, but Travis Jones looked strong, quick, explosive, and just dominant in the run game. The way he was moving linemen off of him and stopping the run and just putting pressure on that offensive line. I really, really, really like what I saw from Travis Jones. I was excited that Ajabo was out there. Honestly, wouldn't mind if he got another drive or two in the future games. He was making some mistakes. He was definitely playing fast and got caught up on a couple misreads, which is all right. He's young. He doesn't have a lot of NFL experience. So that's why I was saying I don't mind if he gets a little bit more time, but I'm still super high on Ajabo, whether he dominated this first preseason game or not. We definitely need to add a corner. We'll go there next. Obviously, we've been saying that. We really went into the game extremely thin. I mean, no Jalen Armour-Davis. Pepe's probably out for a while. So we went with Brandon Stevens and Seymour out there. Worley's playing safety. He did mention in his press conference that he's a full-time safety and that it was a mutual decision between him and the team. So he can step in at corner, and I think that's why he'll definitely make the team, because now he's a Brandon Stevens, but he's playing safety but can step in at corner. And Brandon Stevens was playing corner yesterday. None of the corners really impressed me. And I'm not surprised. I mean, a lot of these guys aren't really going to be the starting corners, hopefully. I mean, we got Marlon, obviously. Rock Ya-Sin's going to come back. Jalen Armour-Davis is going to be there. And then you start talking about the guys that were playing. Brandon Stevens looked all right. He looked the same to me as he has in the past few years. He's definitely, okay. He can step in and hold the fort down sometimes, but he's also going to get beat, and we shouldn't be surprised by it. We didn't see Caillou Blue-Kelly until the fourth quarter, which I thought was really interesting as well. He didn't look that bad, but you're going against, the Eagles' fourth-string players. So I'd like to see Caillou Blue-Kelly play earlier. I liked his athleticism. I thought he looked quick. I thought he looked smooth out there. I liked what I saw from him, but I'd like to see him kind of start the game. If we're that thin at corner, why is he not coming in until the fourth quarter? That kind of shows me maybe what kind of camp he's been having compared to the other cornerbacks. I didn't think he played bad, so I'd like to see him play earlier and more often, especially if we have this many cornerbacks out. Let's get Caillou Blue-Kelly some time. Let's really see what we have with him, at least at this point. He's obviously going to keep getting better, but I didn't mind what I saw. I would say that, to me, he looked like the best corner that we had out there, but I need to put a pause on that because he didn't come in till the fourth. So I can't judge him. He's not going against the same talent that Brandon Stevens was going against early in the game. So we'll see. I think he earned some earlier playing time, hopefully. And I hope these cornerbacks get healthy. I want to see Jalen Armour-Davis out there. I want to see Rock Ya-Sin for a drive or two to get comfortable with this defense and kind of see how it looks. And then I'm definitely expecting us to sign somebody. We had William Jackson in for a visit on Friday. So we'll see. I mean, he's definitely just like a depth guy, wouldn't move the needle too much, but we need some bodies right now. You know, William Jackson's probably better than a lot of the guys we had out last night playing cornerback, and we were letting up a lot of big plays. And that secondary that we had out there last night cannot be our backup secondary. You know, it's not good enough. Those are my takeaways from the first preseason game. Definitely exciting to watch some Ravens football and especially see what we have as depth on this team and which guys are shining. And let me know what guys stood out to you, which guys you think are going to make the team, which guys you think might not make the team and are definitely getting cut. I'd love to know your thoughts as well. There's so many different players. There's a lot of guys I didn't even get to talk about. This video would be 2 hours long. I'm probably going to end up going live during the regular season, like right after the game. We can go a little bit longer and talk about whatever. So I'm super excited for that. And we'll keep the contest going every week. So next week versus the Commanders, I'll just ask another question like I did this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.